The time is upon us. We've finally gotten the big announcement as to what the first season is going to be like for Diablo 4, the season of the Malignant. In this video today, we're going to be going over the July 6th devlog that just occurred, and we're going to talk about all the things that they brought up as far as what the details are for the season and how everything works. Now, this is your first time on my channel. As you know, the way I like to do things here is by giving you an upfront kind of dump of what the information in the video is. You can decide to stick around if you want, or if you just want a TLDR of the entire stream, here it is right here. So we're going to go through these notes real quick. This is pretty much everything you need to know if you don't want to watch the whole video. The season will start on the 20th of July, but the patch for the season lands on the 18th of July. The most important point of this entire video, if you don't want to watch anything further, you don't have to outside of this. On the 18th, or before you jump into your seasonal character, if you don't want to do this on the 20th or whenever, log into your main character on July 18th or after, because then it will take that main character's progress and bind it to your entire account. So everything that you've done on that main character will then get duplicated into the season. So if you plan on playing the season maybe on the 25th for the first time, log onto your main character first. That's going to take all their information and just copy it across your account. Transmogs, things that you've discovered as far as Fog of War, all of your Lilith statues, make sure you do it because that is the most important thing. The season itself will also include new uniques, legendaries, and bosses, but those will also be on the Eternal Realm. Everything else we're going to talk about now will only be on the seasonal realm. That is the only thing that will hit the Eternal Realm at the same time as the season. So new uniques, new legendaries, so no legendary aspects, and new bosses. The most important thing to do before the season, though, is your campaign. So complete the campaign, because remember, then you can skip the campaign starting immediately at level 1 with all of your skill points, all your Lilith statues, and on a mount. That's huge. Now, also complete all of your Lilith statues and discover the entire map. If you do all of that, it will transfer over into the season, and you'll already start well into the 3rd level of renown for every location. And really after that, if you're kind of thinking, oh, I don't want to do the renown grind again, just do strongholds, do all the waypoints. And at that point, you pretty much just need to do some dungeons while you're leveling up that character. And you should complete the renown for every single location by the time you hit 50 without having to do any side quests. I'm going to talk through that in its own video. So we'll talk about that a little bit further down the road. But the season's unique mechanic adds in the Malignant hearts that are color-coded hearts that go into color-coded jewelry sockets that are super legendary aspects that totally break the game. And these seasonal mechanics that they're adding to the season, they said they'll reserve the right to bring them into the main game, but as of right now, nothing that they are doing in this season will. They're going to basically do it based off of like, hey, how's the popularity? Does it break the game and what have you? The Battle Pass is entirely cosmetic though. So there are 27 free tiers and 60 premium tiers, but the pass will not give any player power. It only exists on the seasonal realm, in case you're wondering about that. The Battle Pass's cost will be $10 base or $25 for the accelerated pass. That's going to give you 20 free tier skips. Smoldering Ashes are the special currency, and they will grant you bonuses to boosting duration of elixirs. Special currency for the season only. But that currency is, everyone gets it at the exact same rate and the exact same points. Paid for or not paid for, it doesn't matter. Free, everyone accesses it at the same time, same rate, everything. But it basically gives you boosted duration of elixirs, gold for selling vendors, experience, crafting materials, and lastly, Malignant heart drops. And there's only 3 or 4 levels per each one, so it's not like you can keep stacking it up. All of your transmogs will transfer over to the season. Horse armor, all the transmogs you've unlocked from breaking things down, all of it. Balancing patches will not be major buffs and nerfs unless it's a huge outlier, with balance patches really keeping the game stable for the most part. Stash space is being worked on that they talked about, but no set release yet. Gems will be added into the material tabs, but again, no unfortunate release date yet. The season will last for about 12 weeks minimum per season, with certain seasons maybe going longer due to certain dates and what have you. And then lastly, uniques will now drop in Helltide chests as a result of patch version 1.04, which should come out pretty much like right now. But if that's all you wanted to know about this entire video, this is all the most important things to hit. I'm going to go through what the season's actually like from the Malignant heart mechanic and everything like that after this point. But if that's all you want to know, please, by all means, go ahead and feel free to shut the video down. But before you do, please don't forget. Is that what I'm trying to say? Yeah, please don't forget to like, comment, or subscribe. Any one of those things does truly help me out in a very, very huge way. I've put some chapters in the timeline here below to help you jump ahead to any mechanic that you want to talk about more, or hear more about from this dev blog. But also don't forget to follow me on Twitch, because I'm live streaming this right now as we talk. So come follow me on Twitch. We can play Diablo. You can watch me do these notes live. But let's get started here on the dev blog and all the season changes that are coming for Diablo 4. So let's talk about the season of the Malignant. Again, it's going to start on the 20th, 12 weeks minimum per season, like we talked about. Players get introduced to Cormont as the driver of the narrative, and the season story starts in QoL, and it starts immediately. All your transmogs are going to come over to the season. You're going to get new powers and mechanics, new legendary items, aspects when I say legendary items, new boss monsters, new unique items, stuff like that. And those will, of course, transfer to the Eternal Realm immediately when the season starts. So you'll have access to get them on both. And of course, all those big balance changes and all the actual patch of the stuff that's really going down with the season, it's going to trigger on the 18th. So you've got like kind of 2 days to kind of see what happened to some of your builds. How are you going to be changing things around? How are you going to plan out what's going to happen in your seasonal character because of the 2 days you kind of get as a leeway in between the two. Also, it's a chance for them to fix anything if it goes wrong. But the season story exists outside of the main story, is what they kind of said. That the season's like, hey, now that Lilith is dead, let's do some other little bookmark things to act as kind of a stopgap between the main story points that sound like they're going to be introduced with the DLC. The Battle Pass exists solely in the season. Finish your campaign playthrough to get access to the new seasonal mechanics. So that's a big thing, right? So like Hell Tides, Legion events, world bosses, you can't do them until you've done the campaign. Can you do world bosses? I think you can do world bosses, but Legion events and Hell Tides, I know you can't. Or Nightmare Dungeons. The Malignant Heart mechanic, which is the newest, biggest addition to the season, cannot be done unless you are have completed the campaign. So make sure you do the campaign. You'll be getting favor, which accumulates at the same rate as the battle pass. Any battle pass type in favor is part of progression for the seasonal journey, which we'll talk about in a little bit, which pushes you through the multiple chapters. So the favor is basically what, rather than calling it experience, it's called favor. Whoops! Spoiler alert. The only thing you get for paying for additional cosmetics, that's it. Everything else is exactly the same as far as the actual battle pass goes. So you pay money for the battle pass, you get the premium tiers. If you don't pay money for the battle pass, you get the free tiers. And they showed off some of those free tiers. They seem just fine. So if you don't want to pay for it, you absolutely just take advantage of the free one. If you like certain cosmetics from a specific battle pass, then pay for it. But the battle pass doesn't get you access to portions of the game that other one wouldn't get. Someone who didn't have access to the battle pass would not get access to. So you can play all throughout it without any problem. Now, smoldering ashes are the currency that you'll be using in this season, and they're usable at level 40. That's when they start. That's when the very first one kind of unlocks, and it gives character set bonuses. And you cannot use these until you've reached tier 8 in the battle pass. Tier 8 is a free tier. It's just that's the tier that unlocks it. And that first tier unlocks your first ability to buff something. So you can boost the duration of your elixirs. You can boost the gold that you get when you vendor an item, the experience you gain, crafting materials, or Malignant Heart drops. I think if we jump back over here, we can see. So this is what the season blessings would look like. These are the smoldering ashes. So you get 4 tiers for most of these. It looks all of them have 4 tiers. I thought some of them had 3 or something like that. But you can see these levels at the bottom then correspond with the percentage gain you're going to get. So you're going to get probably up to 12% total boosted experience. You're going to get total maybe 20% for the extra gold that you're going to get when you vendor an item. Reclamation here would be additional materials from whenever you salvage. So up to what looks like 40% additional is pretty nice. Boost the duration of your elixirs to up to what, like 45%, something like that. And then boost the chance of powerful Malignant Heart drops after completing the campaign up to 20%. So a lot of nice bonuses here for the seasonal blessings, which will be very, very advantageous. So going through the rest of this, we have seasonal renown progression. As I've said before, characters will have all of their Fog of War, so their area discovery, transferred into the season, all altars of Lilith as well. important to note that this puts you at renown level 2 for all locations, as well as the massive stat bonuses. So if you're playing through the game, you go, there's no fucking way you're going to see me playing this again. There's no way. It's going to take too long. Listen, if you do all your Lilith statues, it's probably to go from level 1 to level 50 in the season will probably take you a weekend. You're going to be so strong that you're not going to struggle through the way that you did the first time around. And on top of it, you're going to push through everything way quicker because you already know what to do. So pushing through the renown on top of that, I think I've got this picture. There we go. This shows us where everything stands, right? So what you need to kind of think about and how you need to think about this is, I'm going to use my phone here to do some handy dandy math. So all of these renown points go 200, 300, 400, 500, 600 for each level of them. So that's a lot of total points, right? As I have it written down somewhere over here. And I have what those actual values are for every single thing. And they're a little bit different per. It's like some are 2100, some are 25, some are like 17. My point remains here is, if you do all areas discovered, so 54, and we're looking specifically at Kazakhstan, so that's 270. That completes our very first one. So when you have all your areas discovered and all of your Lilith statues, so that's another 310. That's going to put you up for Kazakhstan at 580. So you'll have 200, 300. So you'll have these two done with 80 points into renown level 3. Now, what you need to look at from this point on are your waypoints, because you're only going to have one waypoint discovered. So for this example here, we're going to get 100 extra renown from our waypoints. And then we're going to get 300 extra renown from our strongholds. That's an extra 400 points. That puts you already through tier 3. That's the biggest thing you need to do as soon as you jump into every region. And I'm going to have this in its own video, but just to kind of help break down the barrier of entry to renown for you right now is that by simply logging into the game, going in at all the waypoints, getting the strongholds done, as you go through each region, you're going to jump through level 3. Now it's time to talk about these last two, which are, I think, what people look at as the biggest grind, right? That's the scariest portion of it. So when you start the season, your character is going to be level 1. Stay in Fractured Peaks and do side dungeons until you push beyond this point. So if we're looking at 500 experience, so that's 500 divided by 30. That does 16 dungeons. That gets you done with this one right there, that level 4. Now we need to do what? I already know what this number is, but because I don't trust my in-brain math, I'm going to do this. Then that's another 20 dungeons. So 36 dungeons would progress you through all of that. Now, obviously, you're not going to do that. You're going to do your waypoints. You're going to do your areas discovered, your altars of Lilith, and your strongholds. You're going to do as many side dungeons as you can to then go to the next area. You just want to basically, since these areas are semi-leveled, right? It goes like level 1 to level 14, then level I think it's like 18, then 20-something, then 30-something. You'll jump to the next area as your level sees fit and do those side dungeons. But what you really need to think about with this level 5 renown point, 4 Paragon points are the equivalent to a level post level 50. And if you think about it, to grind out this 5th Paragon or this 5th slot it's faster just to get a level post 50. So I'm actually not going to focus on that 5th level, this 5th tier, unless I really need to push more side quests to knock them out. You should be able to do all the dungeons within a location plus maybe a handful of side quests to knock it out if you really want to. But you're doing a season. Take your time. You don't need to have that 5th tier unlocked. Realistically, what you're getting is 5 levels worth of Paragon points. And the person that tells you, you got to get it done, you don't need to. You're a busy person. Just do the fucking thing however you want. If you just simply go from level 50 to 55, it's the same thing as getting all 5 of those tiers unlocked. And it's a bit of a grind. So only do them as you see fit. Once you're post level 50, what I would tell you is once a day, choose a location, knock out the side dungeons and side quests to get the 5th tier unlocked, and then do the rest of the stuff you wanted to do in that day. Don't grind all of them out in one day. It's just going to be real rough. That's a mini little diatribe about that. But just to kind of help break that down, so at least has it's not so scary, especially since you're starting from level 1 and you already have so much of this completed. All you got to do is side dungeons to level up, and then it's pretty much going to put you in a good position to knock out that 5th tier quite fast. Let's keep moving. Season to-do list, again here, this just tells you that once you start off, you're going to have 5 skill points and 5 potions. And what season and what you have to do, one more, I've said it so many times in this video, but just to re-cement it. The things you have to do before the season starts: complete your campaign, do all of your Lilith statues, discover the entire map. Those are the 3 things that are going to transfer over. You got to do them. And also log into your main character on July 18th when that patch drops, because then the game will go, okay, cool, we're going to take all of your progress, copy it to your account, and that's what exists for your account. Every time you update and do something towards that progress, if you say like, oh, I've unlocked a new legendary aspect, okay, we'll put that in your account now. But they needed to do that because of the way I guess they developed it in some sort of weird stuff. Even if you decide to play after the season starts, log into your main character first, then do your seasonal so that it applies everything across your account. Way, way, way important. Lastly, though, one thing that the season will offer is a scroll of amnesia, which will just reset your entire character if you'd like. So you've got that. But let's talk about now the seasonal journey. So the seasonal journey is basically your battle pass, right? Here, let me actually put this right here. That bothers me being up there. Why is it doing this to me? Dad? Cool. Great. So the seasonal journey is basically your battle pass. And your season journey is basically broken into 7 chapters with specific objectives for each chapter. And you need to do a certain amount of them, i.e. 7, to progress to the next chapter. You don't have to do all 9. And those things, I think I've got a picture here. Let's see if I can bring it up. Cool, I did. Will be stuff like this. You know, collect Gallow Vine. Collect a Malignant Heart available after completing. Complete any dungeon found on your map. It'll say do a cellar. All these things. And as you do them, you unlock legendary aspects. You unlock favor. You unlock caches, all these little things that are going to give you bits towards your actual progression point, your favor, which goes towards your battle pass progression. That's the important thing here, right? I said that seasonal journey is the battle pass. I lied. I'm so sorry. I got them confused there for a second. The seasonal journey exists outside of the battle pass, but gives you smaller favor, which is used in the actual battle pass. That was confusing. I apologize, but that's how that actually works. But again, you'll unlock legendary aspects as a result of the seasonal journey, rewards you with favor currency. You earn experience through literally every other thing that you can do in the game. So if you do other things outside of it, it's going to still give you seasonal journey. It's still going to give you battle pass experience. There you go. Great typing. Any PvP stuff, though, that's part of the seasonal journey is required. Or I'm sorry, not required. I was going to say not required. Jesus. It's optional. You can just do different portions of it instead. You can say, hey, I'm going to go do, rather than that objective, a different one, and it'll still progress your journey. So you don't have to worry about that. Now, the Malignant mechanic is the new one that's being added into the game. So this is basically turning your elites into super elites, and they get a special power and they drop hearts. And I think that I have a thing for it. Do I still have it up? Yeah. So the thing here, this post kind of roughly goes into it. Oh, I guess it really didn't. It says it like very quickly in here. It talks about, oh, the Malignant Hearts, yeah, this is 32, blah, 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 fully corrupted. So yeah, we'll talk about that more on my notes. But Malignant Hearts drop from these elites, partially corrupted Malignant Hearts. And basically, you use a Cage of Binding on the heart, and it starts a event. And the event then starts a spawning of that elite that is fully corrupted. You basically need to deal with a wave of monsters while you kill the elite. Once you kill the elite, the event ends, and it drops a fully corrupted heart. So that caged heart is basically socketable into jewelry that adds a ton of power. They said like these are like game-breaking legendary aspects. So there's 32 new malignant powers across 4 different types. I've got a picture of that one too. Let me see where it is here. I like had to quickly grab them in the middle of the stream because That's how I did it. So here's an example. So this is a picanha. Whoa, we got Brazilian barbecue going on right now. So can be inserted into a vicious malignant socket. That's one of the colors. There's different colors here. There's vicious, there's brutal, there's another one, and then there's wrathful. So I don't really know, unfortunately, what that other one is, but there we go. So here's an example. Critical strikes electrically charge the enemy for 2.89 seconds, causing lightning to arc between them and any other charged enemies, dealing 64 lightning damage. So this is a super low item power one. This guy's only level 20. This one's not going to be amazing, right? So I'm not really sure what they're like. They did not talk about or show off any other different types of these hearts and what they do. So I'm really curious to see if they're all damage based, if they're damage type based, like, oh, something vulnerable. Are they all generic is what I'm saying? Or are they going to be class bound? Are some of them class bound? They didn't really talk about that. So I'm really excited to see what that really looks like. But they've got 32 different ones. So we'll see what that looks like again. So these hearts will only fit in the color-coded socket. So vicious heart will only fit in a vicious socket. Brutal, brutal, so on and so forth. All the sockets on Jewelry will be color-coded. So all sockets. You won't just have a chance to drop a socket that is not color-coded, just a generic socket. No, they'll all be color-coded on Jewelry in the season. Again, in the season. So those sockets then can be applied by jewelers. They were unclear though, or whether or not those jewelers can apply specific color sockets, or if they can only just apply a socket and it's a randomized one, you just kind of get what you get. So I think it's going to cause a little bit of a gear hunt to say, hey, you know what? I got like the Ring of Meln and it had a vicious socket, but I wanted a brutal socket, and you just kind of have to farm another one to get a brutal socket. I don't know how we're going to get it. But those hearts that you don't want can be broken down to craft invokers. Now, invokers seem very similar to sigils. And I'll put this on its own page as well. So invokers can be used at malignant tunnels. And it's basically, again, the same process. Wow, what did I do? There we go. They can be used at malignant tunnels. So basically it seems like these invokers will work just like sigils. That sigils then grant you a nightmare dungeon. The invoker grants you a malignant tunnel. And these are special dungeons where there are tons of malignant heart elites to hunt. Again, it seems similar to nightmare dungeons to replace invokers with sigils. The color-coded invoker will then yield color-coded malignant hearts. So you can then target farm those specific hearts that you want to get and what have you. Each tunnel has multiple heart colors and hearts specifically though. So they said like, yeah, you know, this might be a blue tunnel, but you'll still get different color hearts there, but predominantly a specific one will drop. And I think I have a picture here for you. Yeah, spawn a specific tunnel to get a specific heart with a random heart types. That was it. And then what you'll see is, and I'm going to show you this picture in a second, you select one of the pods attached to a malignant growth to then spawn the specific growth type, i.e. brutal outgrowth spawns brutal hearts in the color of the invoker. So here you go. That's what that looks like. You can see these two pods right here. This one was like a brutal one, and it goes ahead and spawns it for you. And I've gotten that wrong, right? Because brutal growths that's the color. The color is brutal. It's not like brutal growths are also blue, or also red, or also green. It's like, no, that's the color. So it seems to spawn more of that specific type if you have a specific type of, what's it called? Tunnel up. And here's another picture here that in this corner right there, it shows, I think that this is the little symbol that we're going to see for the malignant tunnel, that little kind of weird leaf right there. But that is all of the notes for what the season will include. Let's talk a little bit real quickly about the quality of life update they talked about. So here's our quality of life updates. So patch point 1.04 is coming. And with that, we'll get Hell Tides will now drop unique items. I could have swore I have gotten, we were on stream together, guys. I've gotten uniques from a Hell Tide chest. So it's weird to me that it says this will now drop uniques. I think one of the first uniques I got was from a Hell Tide chest. So that's weird to me. Maybe it's like a Mattel effect, like it didn't actually happen. The cornucopia wasn't actually in the Fruit of the Loom symbol, whatever the hell. But Whisper bounty caches do not drop unique items. So that's not part of a patch note. It's just they confirmed it. They said like, hey, The Whisper bounty caches don't drop unique items. So that's a nice confirmation to have. Overall, though, as far as the quality of life stuff that they said they'd be talking about in the patch, there's nothing really to talk about here. I'm not going to lie to you. They said that the feedback was heard, locking inventory and stuff like that, that they're working towards it. The gem tab was mentioned, but not talked about at any set release date or anything. Patch 1.0.5 is the one that we'll probably be getting with the season, but that's going to have reward changes, balance changes, and other changes around those. Planned improvements to the respec system include gold changes so that it's not so economically impactful to change your spec around. They didn't mention specifically ways to swap out Paragon boards, right? Like aside from just manually right clicking them. They didn't say, hey, we're going to add a button to swap off a whole board, which is what I really would love to see. Planned set of mid-season balancing, they said. And one question that was asked was, why can't we teleport directly into the Nightmare dungeons rather than outside of a Nightmare dungeon? And they said that the current feature that is was a quick fix, but possibly they'll be fixing and adding in that feature in the future. They did just quickly address it. So those are the big quality of life things just to kind of talk about. And they did talk about Diablo Immortal. They added a new Blood Knight class. So they said this is exclusive to, well, they said we are adding this to Diablo and Diablo Immortal, but I guess what they were saying is the Diablo universe. So the Blood Knight might possibly come into Diablo 4, possibly as a season thing rather than a set DLC, where I think a DLC is where we would see something like a Paladin added into the game, or a Monk, or an Amazon, something like that. But this just adds that class into the universe, into the lore and what have you. But basically it's just vampires. They're similar to druids. They can shapeshift, lots of HP replenishment, stuff like that. So this is everything. This was the entire dev blog. I've broken it up all into patch notes here for you. They do have a post that doesn't really, it kind of skimps on some of the stuff with like the invokers and stuff like that. I can put this in the pinned comment and the description so you can kind of read through this if you so wish. A lot of these patch notes or these notes here I just kind of like quickly slammed out. So I apologize if they don't make much sense here, but again, I think I got the gist of it so that you didn't have to rewatch that whole entire like hour and a half live stream. I will say it was kind of a little weird watching that live stream because they would say stuff like, yeah, you know, we didn't plan to add renown progress into the season. You guys had requested it and we added it. Or, hey, you know, we didn't plan on having Nightmare Dungeon teleportation. You guys requested it, we added it. And I'm like, could you imagine we start a season and we don't actually get the ability to bring renown across? Holy shit. And I know that Diablo 3 didn't actually have a lot of those features. Transmogs, you had to reset your transmogs like in the early seasons of Diablo 3 every season. So it'll be interesting to see what stuff gets added here in the future for the seasons of Diablo 4. And I'm going to have a video coming out about like a Q&A of Diablo 4 seasons. Now that we have more concrete details, this way I'll kind of truncate everything down into one video so you can get it all listed out if you need to. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching here today. If you have any questions about this, or if I missed anything, please go ahead and let it be known in the comment section below. Very excited to jump into the first season of Diablo and make a dual-wield Rending Barbarian and see if I can make that work in a cool way. But as always, thank you so much for watching here today. Have a good one and take care.